Hello there, this is Martinette from Happy Notes Crafts, and this is my next project using the Snail Mail bundle. I'm going to be making the paper pumpkin box, the small paper pumpkin box from the annual catalog, Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And I am really featuring the beautiful paper and the colors that come in the paper here. So here's the belly band that I'm going to show you how to make. And then here is a little bit of a cover, if you will, still featuring that designer series paper. And you're able to just fill the box with some treats. I don't have those treats yet, but I wanted to certainly share with you this project tonight. So I'm going to set this aside and give you an idea of what that box looks like. I believe there are maybe 8 boxes that come in the pack. I will have to double check on that and update that information if I am wrong. But this is the way the boxes come flat already. And I am going to choose to use the matte side this time. And so I believe you should be able to use this glossy side as well, but I am going to choose to use the matte side. And I'm going to go ahead and bend on these score lines and show you how to put it together, and then we're going to decorate our box. And so as I'm putting it together, before I start to put it together with the tabs, I just like to bend on these creases and score lines that are already provided for me on the box, so I don't have to do any measuring or any cutting at all. And then let's go ahead and put the box together. So you bring the tabs inside like so. Let's see if I can minimize a little bit, zoom out so that you can see what's happening here. And I'm not going to need any adhesive for the tabs, but I am going to tuck over the little side panel. You see these little tabs here? They're going to keep everything nice and snug in the box. And so if I can wrestle this here, I'm going to bend this over. And that's going to keep my tab in place. I guess if I had creased this one line, that might help me out a little bit. That explains why that was a little tough. I didn't crease that the way I did the others. Now maybe I'll get a little bit more cooperation with these tabs. Here we go. Okay, so put in the little side tabs, just tuck those under this flap here, and then I'm able to pop in the tabs at the top of the box, and they keep everything snug and in place without me needing any adhesive. I don't need to include any adhesive in putting this box together. So I'll repeat that for this side, and again, tuck those little tabs inside the holes here at the bottom, and I have my mini paper pumpkin box. I'm going to go ahead and close it up because it'll be a little bit easier to attach my designer series paper and mold my mold my little belly band that I created there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to use a piece of Bermuda Bay, and this particular piece is cut at 5 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and I wanted to use this as sort of a base. So I measured the length and width of the top of the box just to get an idea, and then as you can see, I came in a little bit from the, I guess what would be the length of the box. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive for this one because anytime I'm dealing with layers, I like to go for the liquid adhesive because it's more forgiving. It gives me a few seconds to kind of move some things around, make sure my paper is where I want it to be before I commit when it dries and adheres permanently. So I'm just kind of giving a nice layer on the Bermuda Bay layer. And I'm going to place that on the box. So this is my first layer here, just to decorate this a little bit. Probably will fill this with some nice Valentine treats, not Halloween, but Valentine treats. I'm so used to thinking about Halloween treats whenever I say treats. So, and then I'm going to use this piece of designer series paper, and I want the mushrooms to face upward. I'm going to feature these little mushrooms. They're nice and colorful, so you'll notice that the coordinating colors for this suite include Blushing Bride, Real Red, Bermuda Bay, Daffodil Delight. Very pretty. All right. And the DSP or designer series paper layer is 3.5 inches by 5.25 inches. Okay, and I think that'll do it. And now I'm going to take a strip of designer series paper, and instead I'm going to use the side with the hearts on it. And that is going to measure 2.5 inches by 12. So I just cut down a piece of, or a strip to 2.5 inches. And I'm just going to gingerly use the sides of the box to decide where it is that I need to crease my designer series paper. Okay, you don't want the designer series paper sash or belly band, as we like to call it. You don't want it too tight because you want to be able to pull off and on. And once again, I'm going to use my liquid glue. And I'm not adhering to the box itself. I'm just putting glue on one part of the paper so that I can glue end on end. Okay? I'm sorry, there's a lot of fire trucks coming down this side road here. If you didn't hear that. Okay, and so I can still move my belly band up and down the box. I can take it off easily. So remember to not adhere the designer series paper belly band to the box itself. We're just adhering end to end. And now I'm going to set this part aside. I've already pre-stamped the little cluster of mushrooms here, and so now all I need to do is color them in with blends. And because I'm using blends, that means I need to stamp in Memento ink. Don't forget that. I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink whenever I am stamping with my blends. And I'm going to get started by coloring in the main portion of the mushroom using light Real Red. And because the space is kind of enclosed, I'm going to just use the narrow end of the marker, the blend. And that'll also help me get around the little polka dots, because I'm going to color those in with Daffodil Delight. So I don't want to mix the reds there with the yellow. Okay. Coloring is a very relaxing task for me, and I really love the way our blends sort of melt into one another with the different shades, dark and light. And oftentimes you can also mix colors for desired effects. But I'm starting usually with the light color, and then I'll go back in for some shading with the dark value. So let me do that now with the dark Real Red. And I'm going to concentrate on this underside of the mushroom for that shading. And maybe up the sides just a little bit and around the rim. I don't think I'm going to shade all of it. That would kind of defeat the point, right? So I'm just using the underside to shade and a little bit of the sides there. And I like to come back in with my light color to sort of blend out any sharp demarcations between the light and the dark. And once it dries, you can really appreciate the shading effect from these markers. It's really pretty. All right, let's use the light Daffodil Delight to color in the polka dots here and the stem. I'll use those for the stem. And because the little polka dots are kind of small, there might not be as much shading that you can do but I will try just a little bit in the larger dots, okay? Just a little bit in the larger dots. I don't know if that's so tedious that it really matters, but I love shading with stamping blends, and I hope you'll find that to be just as satisfying as I do. I'm going to use the light Daffodil Delight to also color in the stems of the mushrooms. And so this tall one back here needs definitely to be colored in with the thin or narrow end of the Stampin' Blend. So make sure I don't get all outside of it. And while I have it, let's go ahead and color in. I made some stripes. This is such a fun color combination in this paper. I just can't help myself. And I think red and blue go so well together. It's really pretty. Let's color this underside yellow as well. Come back in, and I'll just use my light real red to finish up the other stripes, if you will, from the smaller mushrooms. So they all kind of coordinate together, which is what we like, huh? Got out of the lines a little bit there. And then for the leaves, I will use this as an opportunity to bring in the Bermuda Bay color. And that pulls from some of the images of the mushrooms from the Designer Series paper layer that I use as sort of like a top layer. Okay, so I'm just going to use that to color in the leaves. And once again, because they're so small, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make for me to shade those in. It's a small area, if you will. Maybe I'll do some of them. And we'll see what difference that might make or not. I just love these blends, and so it's hard for me to not try to shade some portion of them. And once again, I come back in with the lighter color just to kind of blend the lines. And once it dries, you can appreciate that better. Okay? All right, that's it for my coloring and my blends. Let me set those aside. And now I need to go ahead and cut this out with my dies. So one of the dies in this set includes a really cute die to cut out this little layer of, or this little cluster of mushrooms. And so I am going to use a Post-it note to make sure that I hold that shape in place. I don't want it to get misaligned on my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And with such a small shape, I'm able to use my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. If you had a chance to view the first video in my collection for this suite, you'll notice that I've used that before, or in the previous project. And it's just really neat and convenient to have around. It's not as big and hulking, if you will, as the larger version. And so it's neat to have around before or while I'm crafting at my craft space, so that I don't necessarily have to go to my cutting station, if you will. I'm going to cut off just a little bit of these extra pieces that aren't going to matter as much, and hopefully that will give me a better time of running this through. You can tell that my cutting pads are well loved. I've used this quite a bit since I got it, and I am just enamored by this. It's so cute. It's just cute and convenient. Stores very similarly to the bigger version by being able to pull up the sides. I'll show you that at the end here after I finish cutting. All right, and I'm using a very similar sandwich with the little platform piece and the cutting pads, just like with the larger version, okay? trying to hold on tight because in the other video I sent this thing flying across the desk. So I didn't want that to happen again. And so closing up the sides helps you to store this neatly and out of the way when you're done with it. And voila, we have our little element here with the snail, or I'm sorry, with the mushrooms, the cluster of mushrooms. And so now we're ready to just put it all together. So this is a rather quick project. You're using the designer series paper and the coordinating colors to do all the work for you. And so I'll bring this back in to the picture. I've already cut one of the little another die from this set. It looks like a square postage stamp, and so it has the little postage stamp edge as well as stitching around the square. And so I would like to use some dimensionals to pop this up. So we will use a little bit of or a few dimensionals to give some depth here. And we'll put this in the middle of the square. And then I will add some embellishments with these beautiful little, I should say cute, resin hearts embellishments. So we have red and white, and I have definitely used my share of the red so far, as you can see. It's really cute there. So I will pick one up. They have the adhesive on the back, and I'm gonna put it in just this little white area here to fill up a little bit of space. Add some color in that white space there, okay? And now I will add even more dimensionals to the back of this entire thing. So I'll just put one in each corner. And we will adhere this entire element to the belly band. Okay. This is the one we're working on here. And voila. So I've seen that these are able to hold note cards, but of course other treats, or note cards and treats that might fit in here. And this is a set, even though we have a lot of hearts in some of the designer series paper, it is certainly a perfect Valentine's paper, but it doesn't have to be, even with the embellishments. So it's nice and versatile. I hope you enjoy it. I enjoyed making it for you.